Is that sarcasm? Yes. I love sarcasm. Tuesday is the latest film distributed by A24. It comes to us from writer director Daina Oniunas Posek. If I even got close to pronouncing that name correctly, I'll consider that a win. A winner is me. So, this story centers around a mother named Zora, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, once again teaming up with A24 after You Hurt My Feelings, a performance that showed the tremendous range that Julia Louis-Dreyfus has had for a number of years. And another film in the long-running timeline, canon, or whatever filmography of A24 that you absolutely need to check out after you check out Tuesday. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus, as talented as she is, as great as she looks. I mean, she has aged so gracefully, and she's still so talented and absolutely has tremendous range. She can't do it alone. So, she has a daughter named Tuesday in a film called Tuesday. My God, my mind is just melting. So, Tuesday, unfortunately, is a terminally ill young woman played by Lola Pettigrew. And she knows that death is coming for her. Death, by the way, shows up in the form of a bird, a very talkative bird, a bird that, deals with a lot, because being death in the form of a bird, you would have to deal with the fact that, people are going to pass, and death is inevitable, and unfortunately that is just going to, be the circle of life. It's the wheel of fortune. It's the leap of faith. But death is voiced by Arenas Kene. I hope I got even close pronouncing that. And there's also a nurse played by Leah Harvey, who I do have to say actually does a pretty good job here as well. So yes, it centers around a mother who is kind of just doing everything she can to distract herself from the fact that her daughter is going to pass. Her flesh and blood, her reason for being. And that is one of the strengths of this movie, is showing how tough it is and how there's no manual, no blueprint, no book, no, leaflet, famous Jewish sports legends. Yes, thank you. Trying to add a little bit of humor here, because this movie does have some sarcastic humor and some dark humor, but it also deals with the fact that death is very, very hard. Very, very hard. Whether it's somebody that you have raised from birth, whether it is somebody that gave birth to you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if it's by blood. If it's a bond, a lifelong bond, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, and there's no way to fully prepare for it, even as much as you think you can. And that is one of the strengths of this movie. It also deals with it in a very strange way, in the form of the aforementioned talking bird. And there is some nice bonding actually between Tuesday and the bird that actually is kind of cool. And you do find out, little tidbits and everything about what's been going on and the fracturing of life when you're going to lose somebody so close to you, and the struggles and the lengths that people will go to accomplish that. Now, I will say that as far as A24, it's A24 and Neon Studios, my two favorite studios. You put their name on the goddamn marquee, and I will check it out. And I was excited for this, because I remember the trailer making me pretty sad. And as weird as the movie is, and it is weird, there's some grounded nature to it. Now, I do want to say that this is not exactly my favorite A24 movie, not even of this year. And I think that some of the choices aren't going to hit like, maybe I think the filmmaker had intended, but I appreciate the boldness, the creativity, and the fact that it is original. Just the thing is, only I would argue about 3/4 of the stuff even hits. When it misses, boy does it miss. And it does have a few interesting narrative choices. It kind of reminds me a bit of Men, except I like Men more than this, but I do appreciate what the writer-director did. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is tremendous as Zora. She really is. And Lola is tremendous as Tuesday. There's a lot of depth to these characters, and you do feel a twinge of sadness. Now, I do admit I didn't cry in this movie like I thought I might, but your mileage may vary. If you lost somebody to illness, or lost somebody, however you lost them, and this deeply affects you, I will totally understand. And I would like to know what you guys thought in the comments. But I'll get into the spoilers here in a little bit, but it has great performances. It has some weird visual effects and some strange stuff to it, all the earmarks of A24 films. And it also has like a particular hip-hop song that a couple characters, interact over, and it's weird. It's fitting, it's weird, and it's about accepting death and understanding that, that's the circle of life, and also you can't cheat death. You do, things might get just a little bit more fucked up. So it is in theaters. I do not anticipate this is going to be in theaters long, though. It's a bit weird that they release this in June. But I decided to take the plunge and watch this late at night after a work shift. So it's in theaters if you want to check it out. I'm going to get into spoilers, but great performances and all that stuff. I said 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Here we go. So, yes, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Lola Pettigrew, great. And Leo Harvey, I want to give a shout to. And also the voice of Death. That reminds me of Inspector Gadget. Reminds me of Dr. Claw. I don't really know about that. And once I realized that that's what the voice reminded me of, it was hard for me to take some of the movie seriously. So, yes, you do have Zora selling off some items, some heirlooms, for money. And seemingly maybe it is to pay for medical bills and pay for treatment and maybe pay for the inevitable funeral and maybe cremation of her daughter, or just the fact that she's trying to make ends meet, because it turns out she actually hasn't been working for a while. But she loves her daughter, but she doesn't want the inevitable to hit. Yes, that's a word I've been using a lot. I'm sorry, but death is inevitable. So the nurse mainly takes care of her. Death shows up, and then Death has a lot of voices. We actually see Death, making some people pass on, and even gets some glue caught on its foot from a glue trap that a rat died on. And Tuesday helps clean the glue off of his foot, and even cleans the filth off of him. He can shrink and grow and everything and that kind of stuff, get really big or really small. And she makes a bath in the sink for him. He shrinks down and gets all the gunk off of him. And because she was so nice to him, he hugs her and everything. And Death, knows that she's a good soul, but it's her time to go. And I can only imagine the stuff I would imagine is cancer. I don't know. Fuck cancer. I mean, I imagine. They never actually fully explain that. They don't have to. She's obviously terminal. Though I do want to say this. The fact that it opens like with Earth doing this, and then it closes, or gets like one of the last shots you see is like Earth just spinning around and everything, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus having to pick up the pieces after her daughter does pass away. Yes, that is a spoiler. Sorry, her daughter does pass away, and it is very sad. Again, didn't cry, but it is sad, because no parent should have to bury their child, like not ever. But things get a little bit weird because Zora tries to stave off Death and basically get Death away. So Death is able to change its size and everything and do all this stuff and do this weird stuff. And after interacting with Tuesday, can we just have 10 minutes? Sure, you can have 10 minutes. So he's hearing some voices of like somebody drinking at a party, and he's getting affected by that, or Death is getting affected by that. But then Zora comes up with a bright idea to basically hit this bird over and over with a book, throw alcohol on it and set it on fire, and then eat it when it doesn't stop making noise. So yeah, Death is inside her, and now she's going to feel every bit of what Death is feeling, and also every bit of what her daughter is feeling. That is something she's having to come to grips with. So it's a nice allegory. It's not bad. It's just, again, a little weird. And weird and A24 go hand in hand. This time I think it was just a little bit too weird, but Zora and Tuesday do end up having a bond. Zora ends up taking over Death's deal, kind of like Peter Griffin when he took over Death, and doing all this, and waving the hand, waving the wing, and Zora at one point grows to be like pretty goddamn tall. The nurse is like, "Oh yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly normal." Again, a little bit weird, and yeah, there are some moments that the weirdness works, and then there are other moments where I don't think the weirdness hit. Like I was like thinking, I wanted to like this movie, more than I did, even though I did pretty much like quite a bit of it. it has good to even great moments and some sad moments. So, yes, Tuesday and Zora bond over all this. Death eventually escapes out and says, "You wait me." And, Tuesday wants to pass. She wants to pass because she had this breathing technique thing that she helped Death with, and that's actually something, that's like a way to accept that. Breathe in, breathe out. She did with her mother. Her mother finally, after coughing up Death on a beach, no, really, is talking to Death, and Death says, "Okay, you do it just like that, or otherwise I'm gonna bust out of you next time." So she does. She basically says you don't have to worry. See, I didn't cry during the movie, but some of these lines hit. But you don't have to worry about me. I don't want you to be in pain anymore. All this, and I'm gonna be fine. I want you to be free. And then, passed away in the house, which is sad. And that actually is a pretty touching scene. That was something that did get to me. I mean, that made me cry, but I was like, yeah, okay, they're right. They hit that. That was a good, scene with the filmmaker. Showed up Julia Louis-Dreyfus and also Lola's acting talents. And then, Zora doesn't know how to go on. It turns out there is one scene a little bit earlier, actually, that I should mention, where the house is, that a lot of stuff that used to be in the house is no longer there. Zora's been having to sell it off. And that's when Tuesday basically tells her, "Oh, that's because you're not working anymore," and everything, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, she's been basically trying to make ends meet, medical bills, that kind of stuff, maybe prepare the house for, selling, whatever it is. But then after her daughter dies, she's still in the house. Death comes to check on her and says, "Okay, so you're," it's like, "I just wanted to check and see how you were." She's like, "I don't know if there's a God or, the afterlife, whatever it is, but I want to be taken. I want to be with her." But Death is like, "It's not your time, but there is no God, but there is an afterlife. The memories that she had are, you have to honor her memory, basically, until it is your time." And then the nurse is still there, so I guess the nurse is taking care of Zora now, I guess. And then Julia Louis-Dreyfus says, "Okay, let's get up." And she does. Cut to black. So yeah, it works. It works, but again, there's just the unevenness and the weirdness. And I appreciate weirdness, do not get me wrong, but I think some of the choices didn't quite hit like they planned. Still B+ for the creativity and the performances. Stops from being an A or A+, but still pretty good offering. So B+. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.